Good morning, everyone, and welcome to First Things First. I'm Jenna Wolfe, alongside Nick Wright, Kevin Wilds, Chris Broussard, already in a good mood. Great to have you guys on a Friday morning. Coming up on the program, could the Lakers or the Bucks be adding a big name once NBA play resumes? Has the intrigue surrounding Tom Brady down there in Tampa gone just a little bit too far? And the beard that keeps on giving. Can Aaron Rodgers and his new look contend for a Super Bowl under year 2 under head coach Matt LaFleur? Ooh, the intrigue. But we will start this morning on a more serious topic with the latest news surrounding still free agent quarterback Colin Kaepernick. Seattle Seahawks head coach Pete Carroll came out yesterday and admitted he regrets not signing Cap back in 2017. He went on to deny that a second meeting with the quarterback was canceled in 2018 over issues over Cap potentially kneeling during the anthem. Carroll did go on to say that an unnamed team did reach out to the Seahawks yesterday, showing interest in Kaepernick. I guess we'll see if a team brings him in after all of this. Nick, there's a lot to digest here. What'd you make of everything that went on yesterday?
Well, listen, at the end of the day, Colin Kaepernick's still blackballed. The reasoning has just shifted. And I think it's instructive, and I think it's important for the audience to understand over the last 3.5 years, the different layers of reasoning we've gone through instead of just admitting the obvious, which is Colin Kaepernick's been blackballed from the NFL. In 2017, that's what I would call the year of plausible deniability. It started with, in the summer of 2017, oh, he's definitely going to get signed. We just have to wait for an injury. That was the general consensus among folks that didn't want to admit what was clearly going on. That reasoning then shifted to, well, okay, he can be a backup somewhere, but there's only a few teams where that would be a system fit. You want your backup to have the same style as your starter. And we always knew, at least some of us knew, that was nonsense. It was proven out to be nonsense the next season when Lamar Jackson took over for Joe Flacco for a team that was dead in the water, totally different stylistically, and led him to the playoffs. And that reasoning then went on to, all right, well, the problem is, would he have enough time if you brought him in, even if there was an injury? Wouldn't you be better with your backup because he hasn't been in the offense? He hasn't been in the system. And that was shown to be laughable on its face when Jacoby Brissett started a football game for the Colts 15 days after they traded for him. So that's what 2017 was about. 2018, the plausible deniability gave way to just outright lies. It started with, well, you know what? I don't think his teammates like him. I think he was a bit of a cancer, ignoring the fact that he won the most prestigious award voted on by the 49ers teammates, the Lynn Eshmon Award. Then it was, you know what? Now that I think about it, he's actually terrible. You know what? He's a bad football player, ignoring the fact that he's top 6 in the history of the NFL in interception percentage, touchdown interception ratio, and folks even recreated history saying he got benched for Blaine Gabbert, which never actually happened. And then the outright lie of he wants $25 million. That was made up out of whole cloth as an excuse for Kaepernick not to be in the league. And then 2019, the lies gave way to the undefinable. Does he actually want to play? Even though he'd made clear at every step he does. Well, you know, we know it's unfair and we know it's a blackballing, but the NFL's a business and fans hate him, totally ignoring the whatever percentage of fans it is that he was one of their favorite or most popular players. And then in 2019, it became, well, you know, can he even still play? Is he in shape? And then we saw the workout this past November where he's clearly in shape and he clearly can still play. So the only thing left was, as a distraction. It's such a hot button topic, such a polarizing issue. And now that the majority of Americans understand he was right, now that the NFL has admitted, without saying his name, he was right, we've given way. I listed 9 excuses there to the 10th and final one, which is, damn, it's a shame. That blackballing that happened, it took too long for us to realize, and now it's been too long, which, of course, is also nonsense. Chad Henne, the backup quarterback for my Kansas City Chiefs, since 2016, when Cap was a starter, has thrown 5 passes. In the same time frame, Cap's thrown 330. Aldon Smith has been out of football a year longer than Cap. He's on the Dallas Cowboys right now. Folks, for the better part of 4 years, Wilds, have done their best to deny what is patently obvious. Colin Kaepernick had his career taken away from him because he made a stance. He made a stand. And now the country is realizing he happened to be right about that stand, and he's still not going to be able to play football again.
See, I'm a little bit more optimistic than you, Nick. I think that we've seen a sea change here from Goodell, from the league, and from what Pete Carroll said. And I know Pete Carroll has always talked, is an optimistic guy, but I don't think there was a reason for him to volunteer the fact that teams are called, or a singular team called him to ask about him. That makes me think that we're headed in the right direction, that Cap is going to get a shot, and that Cap's perseverance that he's shown throughout these last 3.5 years. He's been on Instagram with his day count of how long he's been out and constantly showing that he is ready. He was ready in the tryout. I think I have a more, maybe I hope it's not naive optimism, but I'm optimistic that he will be on an NFL field or with an NFL team this year, Broussard.
Look, I do feel like for the NFL to make good on its apology that Roger Goodell issued, Kaepernick needs to be on a team. He needs to at least have the opportunity to play. If otherwise, you're just speaking words that really don't have any meaning. And a lot of people are doing that right now. And I think Pete Carroll was talking out of both sides of his mouth. Okay, he says, we regret not signing him back in 2017. We should have done it. Well, if you regret it, do it now. Nothing has changed. Russell Wilson is still embedded as your starter, so there won't be a controversy. It's not like if Russell has a bad game, people are going to say, put Kaepernick in, so you don't have to worry about that. In fact, you know what? One thing has changed. The one excuse that Pete Carroll gave for not signing Cap, he's a starter. He really is. He's good enough to start. He's too good to be a backup. We can't sign him for that reason. Now he is a backup. Now, he could become a starter in the future, but no one in their right mind would say after 3 years off, he's ready to step into the NFL right now and start. So that excuse is gone, kind of the Knicks' point. So now what's the excuse? Geno Smith? You signed him to a 1-year, $1.2 million deal. In the last 3 years that Cap's been out, Geno has thrown 54 passes. So he hadn't really been that active either. And obviously, Kaepernick is better than Geno Smith or has been throughout their careers. He's only 32 years old. The styles of play that a lot of teams are adopting, obviously Seattle, could fit for Kaepernick. And Pete Carroll said yesterday, I've always said over the years that if something happened and Russell got tangled up and couldn't play for some reason, Kaepernick would be an extraordinary candidate to replace him. Sounds like the perfect fit in Seattle. Now, I get it. If another team wants to sign him and he has a better chance to eventually play, that's one thing. But Carroll is like a lot of people nowadays, speaking out of both sides of his mouth on this Kaepernick issue.
With respect to all those excellent points you made, Broussard, my only pushback would be you're operating from a place of logic on this. This has never been about logic. This was a player who was blackballed, and we know it. And if we try to reverse engineer why now he could get, no, he had his career taken from him because he decided to make a stand that at the time was unpopular amongst the majority of Americans. And even though right now the majorities have flipped, it is still unpopular amongst a large segment of the population. It does not matter that the people who are angriest at Cap have been exposed as utter frauds. It does not matter that the people who are angriest at Cap about kneeling during the national anthem because it disrespects the flag and our military are the exact same people angriest at NASCAR right now for banning the Confederate flag, which is the single most disrespectful thing you could possibly display to our troops, the flag, and our military, since it's a flag that represents an insurrection against our military. It's never been about 1 + 1 = 2. It's always been about 1 + 1 = X, and you just have to trust us. And so, listen, I don't know that there's, I should admit my bias on this on the front end. I don't know there's a person in the national media that has a closer relationship with Colin than I do. And I will tell you guys what I told him the last time we sat and talked, when he said, do you think I'm going to get another shot? And I told him no. And the reason I mentioned that is because there is this other almost narrative that, well, he's not going to play again, but it's actually better for his cause, for an era of martyrdom. I am telling you, I sat next to that man and looked into his eyes, and I thought he was going to cry. For as much as he cares about the cause and the people and all the great work he does, he worked his entire life to have a chance to do what he loves, which is run through that tunnel and play football. When he started kneeling, he understandably did not think he was going to be forfeiting his career. It has been taken from him. And even if he has been proven right on the merits of the bigger issue, it is still damn near criminal that someone who worked as hard and was as good at the time as he was doesn't get to do what he loves to do, as it would be for any of us if we had our passion stripped of us for reasons absolutely out of our control that now everyone understands, oh, he was right about too.
Nick, I'll ask you what you asked Cap when you sat across from him. Do you think with everything going on right now, he will get a chance to play again?
No, he's never going to get a chance to play. Like, no, I hope I'm wrong, Wilds. I hope you're right, but I don't see any. I think suing the NFL, which I think he was right on, and I support him in, was the last straw. And no, I don't. Wilds, I will be thrilled if you are correct. But I think there's no chance whatsoever he gets another shot.
Back here with Coach Mangini, we're drawing a blank. And we start with a doozy. NFL analyst Chris Sims released his top 40 quarterbacks heading into 2020. And when he was asked why he had Jarrett Stidham 35th on the list and Dolphins rookie Tua Tagovailoa at 40th, Sims said Stidham is more talented than Tua, to which Nick spit out half of his half-calf almond milk latte during our rundown meeting this morning. Nick, that's very fancy coffee for a very fancy guy. Sims saying Stidham is more talented than Tua, though, is blank.
Of all the lies you've told about me on this show, and at this point it's too many to count, I think that's the one that offends me the most. I drink my coffee black, and anyone, even if you enjoy half-calf almond milk, anyone that would order that as a grown man should be shamed out of it. But let me answer the question. Wilds, you know I'm not prone to hyperbole, so this pains me a bit.
Oh, here we go.
But Chris Sims saying Jarrett Stidham is more talented than Tua Tagovailoa is the worst take of the year. It's the worst take of 2020. 2020's been a hell year. This is the worst take. And I love Chris Sims. This idea, I listened to the whole interview with those dopes at EEI. Sorry, EEI. And I heard him say, like, oh, what do you expect? That system at Alabama. Since Saban's been there, he's had 2 other quarterbacks drafted. A.J. McCarron in round 5 and Greg McElroy in round 7. It's not like it's been a quarterback offensive machine they've had passing game-wise at Alabama. Stidham at 35 is about right in a 32-team league. But Tua at 40, Coach, it's the worst take of the year.
Nick, I had almond milk in my coffee this morning, and I'm very comfortable with my manhood.
There you go, Coach.
And you,
there you go.
You not being prone to hyperbole is probably the worst take of the year. What I'm going to say is there's an Alabama discount, and this happens pretty consistently as you evaluate schools that players come from. You have to look at the talent level that they're playing with, and obviously Alabama is as high as it gets, and then the development that the program puts the players through. And Alabama is as high as it gets. When you're drafting these guys, you want to make sure that there's a high ceiling of growth. And when schools have produced at almost a pro level, and arguably in some cases better than a pro level, there's a discount because you don't think the guy is going to have as significant an upside as other players.
Look, there's nothing more I like to do than what I'm about to do right now. You know, at SeaWorld where they're in the splash zone, so you go like this, they hand out like plastic sheets so you don't get splashed. That's what's about to just happen. Nick, we had Jarrett at 35. We had Tua at 40. Do you know who was at 36, also above Tua?
I do not.
Do you know? Do you
Tell
know?
me, please. Tell me.
Get ready, everybody. Taysom Hill, buddy. Taysom Hill also above Tua.
No, he wasn't.
Oh,
my. Oh, God. Oh, Christ. Taysom Hill. He's completed 6 passes in his career. He's above Tua.
More than Tua.
All right, Sims, you know what?
Yeah, Tua's got 0.
All right, you're right. I am flustered right now. I can't believe Chris Sims is doing this to himself. He's just absolutely shredding his credibility in real time. Chris Sims has been on an enormous media trajectory. From doing a podcast with my buddy Adam Lefko to he might one day do Sunday Night Football. Not anymore. Yeah, I hope it was worth it, Sims. My God, what a terrible
list.
list.
Just a subjective list, all arbitrary.
Terrible list,
On to
Sims.
the Broncos now. Their rookie wide receiver, Jerry Jeudy, released this video yesterday on Twitter. I probably watched this 18 times. Look at the footwork here. If I'm a Broncos fan, I love this. Nick, the impact Jerry Jeudy's going to have on second-year quarterback Drew Lock is blank.
I just looked at the list again. He's got Lock in the mid-20s. My God, Sim. Listen, the impact Jerry Jeudy can have on Drew Lock is drastically overstated. I love Jeudy. I love the footwork. I love the hands. Not sure how much it's going to help when passes are bouncing at your feet and sailing over your head. This Drew Lock hype that Colin Cowherd and my good friend has engaged in. Oh, dark horse MVP candidate. Drew Lock has played one high-level game in his NFL career after having a middling career in college at the University of Missouri, my home state university, by the way. And the one great game he played was against a cartoonishly bad Texans pass defense that was beat up at the time. So as good as Jeudy is, I think the impact's going to be drastically overstated because the Broncos still don't have a quarterback, Coach.
Well, look, his numbers are not necessarily drastically overstated. When you look at it, there's a lot of encouraging things that Drew Lock did, whether it's his TD to interception ratio, his quarterback rating, his completion percentage. There's a lot of things to be encouraged by. But a wide receiver, regardless of how good they are, has a limited impact on a quarterback because there's so many things that have to work in order for that wide receiver to be successful. The protection has to be good. The quarterback has to be able to get the ball to the right place to cut and read the coverages. There's a lot of things that go into a receiver's success. And maybe he's going to have the success that Anquan Bolden had at 101 receptions, but it's so rare. Randy Moss, 17 touchdowns. Typically, it's more Julio Jones, 50 receptions, and DeAndre Hopkins, 50 receptions. So the overall impact, I think, is going to be limited.
You know what? The internet has poisoned me because now I look at it like a good route running and fast feet, and it doesn't do it for me anymore. It's too conventional. I need weird things.
What?
I need to see stability. I need to see pliability. I need to see like multiple weird things happening. It's the only thing that now kind of goes viral. So the next round, we got to be on the balance balls and throwing tennis balls up. You throw the ball over the house and you run and catch it. I'm sorry, that's just what the internet demands. It's just the algorithm just wants weirder footage, so I don't know about this.
Your football bar is too high at this point. All right, let's move on, talk some Colts now. No apologies. Where their new quarterback, 38-year-old Phillip Rivers, is aggravated by talks that he's washed up. I wonder if those talks stem from the fact that he turned the ball over 23 times, 20 interceptions, third most in the NFL last year, or maybe perhaps he's entering year 17 this season. Nick, Rivers leading the Colts to the playoffs this season would be blank.
So the internet has caused Wild sensibilities to numb, and he needs weirder and weirder videos to be intrigued. That's a hell of an admission on national television, Wilds. Don't check the internet history. But it's neither here nor there. This is total vindication if it were to happen. Because you got folks like me, when it comes to Phillip Rivers, saying he's already working on his second career, saying he's going to be a football coordinator at the high school in Alabama, that this is one last payday. He's 38, going to be 39 years old. So if they make the playoffs, and I like the roster around him, it would be total vindication for Phillip Rivers. I don't see it happening, but if it does, it'd be total vindication, Coach.
Yeah, typically when you start talking about retirement, in your mind, you're already retired. And when you start talking about what your life is going to be after football, those aren't necessarily things that you're looking for as a front office with someone that you're going to bring in. But to me, this would only be mildly surprising. When you look at Phillip Rivers' career, after a year where he has a lot of interceptions, the next year they typically come down and oftentimes come down significantly. He's has the potential for a big year at any point. That division is so unpredictable. You never know what's going to happen with any of those teams. So I'd only be mildly surprised if he was able to pull it off.
You know, I went with wonderful, Coach. You know, my wife and our producer, Sam Pepper, both went to Wisconsin. Colts ran the ball the 5th most percentage-wise this year. It's all going to be Jonathan Taylor, who, by the way, 6,000 yards in only 3 years, 6th best of all time. So, boom, wonderful for the Colts.
Wonderful. All right, I like it. On to the Packers now, where I present to you. No kidding. Did you really? Aaron Rodgers, who has clearly spent his quarantine the way Nick has, growing out his beard. Nick, don't feel bad, buddy. Yours is going to grow soon. Just give it some time. But I will ask you this. Rodgers' quarantine beard is blank.
It is unbelievable. It just, I mean, the drive-bys Jenna is executing, it's just really uncalled for. I
it's
suppose
from
after what I
3
said
straight years of myself getting thrown under the bus, Nick.
All right, listen, but Jenna's right. This is a subject of massive envy from me. And I try not to be an envious person, but and I say this sincerely. This is the same way I feel about Wild's hair. When I started to grow out my hair, because I met Wilds years ago, I was like, hey, that's kind of the look I'm going for. And for some reason, I can never get it. Like, the hair grows, I just can never get it. It looks bad almost every day. I feel the same about Aaron Rodgers' beard. When I started growing out my beard, I was like, okay, I'm going to have a full, closely cropped, not that long, but a full beard. And I just can't do it. That's why it's always this short down here, because I can't do it here.
Right, Nick.
I'm envious. Yeah, you were right. Let me say it. So it's a subject of envy, because he's going to shave it off. He doesn't even like it. He just wants a mustache anyway. It's a good beard wasted on someone who doesn't want it, Coach. So I'm envious.
Nothing makes me happier than being able to spend my morning learning about Nick's beard. That's good times to me.
Unbelievable.
To me, this is aspirational. I could go the rest of my life and never shave and not even come close to this beard. And I know Nick wants to talk about the fact that Patrick Mahomes can grow a better beard, and Patrick Mahomes' beard will be, significantly better over time, and he should get paid more for his beard. And then, Wilds is going to chime in and say that Stidham's beard can be better if Belichick helps him, or maybe Hoyer's beard is going to be better. But for me, look, it's aspirational. I could never do this.
Look at you.
I don't know if we got our Olympic music. Hubbard, did we get Olympic music for my podium? I'm going to tell you, this is a runner-up. There we go. We moved Big Ben to 3rd place on the Beard Olympics. Rodgers comes in 2nd, and Fitzpatrick still the undisputed champion gold medalist of beard. So Aaron Rodgers with a nice placement here, but Big Ben shaved his. He goes down to 3rd, but undisputed champion, Ryan Fitzpatrick.
That's fair.
Bring Harden into that conversation. He'd give them all a run for their money.
No.
Hey, guys. Check this out right here. Aerial footage, watch it, of Brady and his new Bucs teammates working out down in Tampa. Tom Brady, can't stop, won't stop, grinding. Next on First Things First.
They're literally just standing around.
No, that didn't just happen. No.
Back here with Coach Mangini. Guys, check this out. Aerial footage of Tom Brady's latest workout. Gotta be quick, gotta be a little sneaky to get the good stuff like this. It's the first footage of TB12 with his new Bucks teammates practicing at a local Tampa high school. It leaked out yesterday. Gronk reportedly one of the receivers in attendance there, though it's hard to tell once you've reached cruising altitude. Coach, sending a helicopter for this, I mean, it feels like a bit much. It's just a little gathering. What do you make of the intrigue surrounding Tom Brady down there in Tampa?
Well, first of all, I'd like to see him actually do some work. I mean, everybody's sitting around
They're
talking.
probably
It'd be
waiting
nice
for the
if they were-
choppers to leave.
I guess so, but you know, a route, anything, a snap, something would be good. I understand the intrigue, and when you get someone like Tom Brady to an organization that's been struggling and struggling for a while, there's incredible optimism, and it's a little bit of the reverse of what's happening in New England, where there's a lot of concern about what's going to happen, and the thing that I'm a little concerned about is with these events taking place, they're taking place all over the country. Wouldn't it be better if these guys were actually at the facility where there were doctors and testing and things where they could do this in a way that's a little bit safer?
So go ahead, Wilds. I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Nick. No, you go.
So here's the testing part aside, I think is an interesting point and a good one by Coach, but I just think the team facilities league hasn't opened them up yet in that regard. But as far as the intrigue or the hype, here's where I want to give Brady a compliment. I think he is more well-equipped to deal with that than any player in the league and maybe any player ever. I do understand the idea, Wilds, that, well, you know, now all of a sudden a team in Tampa that's been really out of the national eye for the better part of nearly 20 years, that doesn't have any sustained long-term success in the history of their franchise. They're going to be on national TV as much as anybody. They're going to be talked about as much as anybody. And all this, and it's all because of one player addition. So all that pressure weighing on that player's shoulders. But Tom Brady, for the last 15 years of his career, has operated from a place very few players in sports history have, which is, if I finish second, this year was a failure, where every single year you had realistic Super Bowl expectations, realistic Super Bowl aspirations. And so I think that, you know, the scrutiny and the media and all of this, that for a lot of guys could maybe affect them. Wilds, I don't see any way it affects Tom, even though he's out of New England, because he's been operating from that place for as long as he's been Tom Brady almost.
Yeah, so I wonder if it affects everybody else on the field, though, Nick. Like, look, I've worked in sports media for 20 years. I do not remember a helicopter shot of just a bunch of guys hanging out in the history of sports. I really don't. This is an unprecedented appetite for Tom Brady footage, I guess. It's just odd to see this footage. And I like it because remember we tried to get those photos the other days and the Tampa Bay newspaper had it and we couldn't get them. So I recognize that we're part of the system that wants to see Tom Brady. But looking at this and recognizing that there's such a ravenous appetite for Tom Brady on the field and seeing Gronk on the field makes me think that this is a higher pressure cooker, Coach, than I think I originally thought.
Yeah, I don't think this is necessarily a higher pressure cooker for Tom at all. This is what Tampa Bay wanted when they brought Tom Brady in, is the impact that he could have with the players around him. And
yeah.
I know, Kevin, you love the term force multiplier. This is where he's the greatest force multiplier, is when he can be on the field and the as he's learning, the guys can learn from him in terms of his approach, in terms of his professionalism, in terms of the nuances of route running, of understanding coverages. There's so many things that he can teach, and the best way that he can teach is obviously not over Zoom. It's with the guys, in the huddle, and those lessons.
Well, Coach, if I may, can I just throw a question back to you quickly? Because, I know Tom can teach them a lot, but I feel like there's an element, and tell me if I'm wrong, of being in the crucible. Like the scrutiny the Bucs are going to be under is so different than anything. Take Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. They played, I would imagine, with almost the security of knowing, man, if we lose, folks they're not going to blame us. They're going to blame Jameis because Jameis probably threw it to the other team and people understand his weaknesses. And by the way, outside of Tampa, no one's really going to be talking about us. So, how different or difficult do you think that's going to be for all the guys on Tampa, aside from Gronk and Brady, who this is all so new to, Coach?
It's incredibly difficult, and it's the problem that Cleveland went through last year. When you insert significant expectations to a season, and everything changes, the way that people play you change, the way that you're perceived just externally, and the pressure that guys often put on themselves because of those expectations, it's often counterproductive and not an asset at all. And as much as people want to be recognized and want to be respected, so oftentimes they can't handle with the pressure that comes with those expectations.
All right, let's take a turn and talk some Green Bay Packers. There is no aerial footage of these guys, at least not yet. In just his first season as Green Bay's head coach, Matt LaFleur went an impressive 13-3, led his team to the NFC Championship game. So how do you follow up a year one like that? Year two, baby. LaFleur was asked about it and said there's just so many advantages to having that first year under our belt. Coach, you wear a belt. Is there any truth to this?
There's a tremendous amount of truth to this. And I remember when I first got the job in New York, I was talking to Bill Parcells, and he said, look, Eric, every day that you come in, there's going to be 5 things that happen that you didn't expect. And as much as you want to plan out your day and as much as you think that you're going to be able to follow a schedule, it doesn't work that way. And it's true. There's so many things that come up that you've never had any exposure to, and there's no playbook for being a head coach. And you know, coming from places that even try to develop head coaches before they become head coaches, you still can't simulate the challenges that exist once you're actually sitting in that chair.
So here's my concern then, because I think all that's well taken, but now year two has a totally new set and unnecessary set of complications because of what Matt LaFleur's boss, Brian Gutekunst, did in the draft. Because he spent year one, ostensibly, building up a relationship with Aaron Rodgers, building up trust with Aaron Rodgers. And then the front office went and added a totally unnecessary variable, which was not only drafting a quarterback, not only drafting a quarterback in the first round, but trading up to draft a quarterback in the first round, then drafting essentially a fullback and then an H-back in the next 2 rounds. I know the guy's called a running back, but he looks like a fullback. And if you already had to be concerned bit-wilds with the sensitive or prickly or however you want to put it nature of Aaron Rodgers, and you were trying to make sure, even though you went 13-3, that year two was more successful than year one, I feel like part of this for Matt LaFleur is going to be like being a rookie coach again when it comes to his relationship with his quarterback, which I think is the most important factor of all this, Wilds.
Yeah, but don't you think that through this all, Aaron Rodgers knows that there might be some outside noise, but Aaron Rodgers knows he needs to deliver and he needs to get to the Super Bowl? I feel like, yeah, the Jordan Love factor is a thing, but once they go 3-0, once they go 5-0, they go 6-2, or however, Nick, your laminated board has them going, I think all that kind of just goes away, and we think, like, remember when we were talking about Jordan Love? I think Matt LaFleur is in for a great year with Aaron Rodgers. The last coach that went 13-3 was Jim Harbaugh. Got to the Super Bowl the next year with Kaepernick, Nick. So hopefully I'll see both of those things. Aaron Rodgers can get to the Super Bowl and Kaepernick can be back on the field.
Aaron Rodgers getting to the Super Bowl at least is on the board in my mind. Unfortunately for Cap, I'm not sure it is. Coach, what do you think about what my concern is? That Rodgers, I don't know how much day-to-day relationship Rodgers has, the quarterback has with the GM once the season gets going. You have a ton of day-to-day relationship with the head coach, and that the addition of Jordan Love further complicates that.
Well, look, Aaron Rodgers had a supposedly great relationship with the last head coach, and that got him fired. So bring in someone to remind Aaron Rodgers that everybody's position is under scrutiny and everybody faces competition year in and year out is not necessarily a bad thing. You want to develop trust with all of your players, and some players are more prickly than others. And a little bit of a reminder that the NFL has consistent pressures and consistent struggles and things like that is not the worst thing in the world for anybody.
We got a full weekend of NASCAR action coming your way from Miami, starting tomorrow with the Xfinity Series. That's on Fox, followed by the Truck Series over at FS1. Then on Sunday, the NASCAR Cup Series continues with the Dixie Vodka 400 live at 3:30 Eastern, only on Fox. Time now for stories to start your morning. We got Chris Broussard with us. So what do you do when you start playing games without fans? If you play it, they will come, virtually, of course. La Liga used virtual fans and recorded crowd noise yesterday. I'll let you decide whether these virtual fans pass the viewing experience test. Don't look too closely, though. Nick, you think this could work for the NBA and other sports moving forward?
I think for the NBA, you're going to have a slightly better graphics. Maybe our friends at 2K can help them with that because you're obviously zoomed in further. You're not getting the full experience here because we can't play the sound. But when it's shot from afar and you have the pumped-in crowd noise, I loved it. I think it's great. I like it a lot. I think it absolutely enhanced the viewing experience. So I think it's a great job by La Liga, my third favorite soccer league in the world. And I think it's something the NBA should try to figure out how to keep moving, Kevin Wildes.
I totally agree. I think this is the first time they came out of the box with it. This was the first game of La Liga. Spanish football is back. I liked it, Broussard. I think the NBA should do it, and I think this will get better and better. So hopefully in the next month, next 2 months, we can see like this fan experience get a little bit more crisp.
Look, I'm not the video game expert that you guys are, but I'm disappointed in these fans. I mean, this is ridiculous. I need more detail. I need faces. I need hair.
Any
I
detail.
Need smiles and frowns, something. I mean, that's just flat. That looks like different colored seats to me. The sound, I'm fine with. I love the crowd noise, but I just need a little more detail. Really, something. They can get better than that, right? It's 2020. That's the best we can do. Good.
I'm with Broussard. All right, speaking of detail, watch this. Zion Williamson was featured in the trailer for the upcoming NBA 2K video game on the new PS5. PlayStation. Only took the Pelicans rookie 19 games this season to already be the face of a video game. Broussard, what does it say that they went with Zion for this?
Look at that. I love that they went with Zion. Zion is the cat's meow. Doesn't mean he's the best young player in the league. We know that's Luka, but everybody wants to know about Zion. He's the one that's going to sell more of these. So, yeah, they did the right thing. And look, there's a happy medium. I just said I like detail, but this is a little too much. I don't need to see Zion's knees and calves sweating. So let's find the happy medium.
Broussard, you can't.
I love this guy.
The graphic designers cannot please Broussard. I like this. I like this, Nick. Have I played a video game? No. And do I know I'm scared to start playing video games because I would never stop playing. So I like looking at this, but I can't engage or I'd become addicted.
All right, I know we're short on time, so I'll go as fast as I can here because I got a lot to say. First of all, Chris Broussard has the biggest discrepancy between how old he actually is and how old he looks. I think people would be off by about 20 years, but the cat's out of the bag by you saying the cat's meow. Is that what you folks said at the speakeasy back in your day? The hell you doing, Broussard? Everyone's now going to know your generation. That's first of all. Second of all, also about my friend Chris Broussard. because I'm in the 2K series of games. Since I don't have an NBA vote, it's my only real connection, official connection to the league. I was considering calling my friend Ronnie over at 2K to try to have them more prominently feature Chris Broussard in the games. But I'm holding out until Chris Broussard makes a phone call to his friend Tim Frank to help me get my NBA vote.
That is not
so a little I scratch your back, you scratch my back type of situation, Broussard. You think about that once the NBA season ends, and we'll see what we can do on the 2K end. You help me with a vote, we'll all be good. I love the video game, by the way.
All right. Move it along. A recent report says NBA rosters could be expanded to 17 players when play resumes at the end of July. Now that's an extra 2 players. Nick, tell us who you would sign.
Listen, I understand he's been in the headlines for some tough reasons lately, but my pal J.R. Swish should be in the league. And if the Lakers were to sign him, what we know about J.R. is no moment would be too big for him. The Lakers the Cavs do not win the 2016 NBA Finals if JR didn't hit back-to-back enormous baskets when the Warriors had their biggest lead of the game right after halftime. There is no moment too big for him, and it should be noted in that game, who is the player that cut off Andre Iguodala to force him to double clutch for just a moment for LeBron to make the greatest defensive play in the history of basketball? J.R. Smith. So J.R., we know his cardio's up. He's been out bicycling, hanging out in L.A. He's the guy that should be signed, Kevin Wildes.
Okay, yeah. It's Friday. I want to be optimistic heading into the weekend. That's an odd take, Nick, and I like JR. I think he's a good guy, but there has been, a handful of moments where he sort of lost his mind there. So, but maybe right. I'm a Lance guy, Broussard. I want to bring Lance back in the league. This is the LeBron stopper. Oh, there it is. It's also an excuse to run this video.
Yeah, look, Nick is absolutely right about the 2016 Finals. They don't win that without J.R. Smith. Here's the problem. He hasn't hit a jump shot since then. Okay, that's the problem. I'm serious. I don't know when the last time I saw this guy make a three-point shot. So, not J.R. I do like Lance. I was thinking Jamal Crawford, but Jamal is 40. Yeah. I kind of like Lance. 40. I think that makes a lot of sense. I'd love to have Lance coming off my pitch if I'm the Lakers.
Wildes, you said JR lost his mind a couple times. You picking Lance? Lance as a paragon of got it together?
Anyone recognize this guy? Nikola Jokic. Rumors have been swirling that the Nuggets big man has been using quarantine to slim down and work on his body. This recent video confirming that the Joker does in fact look svelte. Dare I say almost too svelte. Maybe it's also the way he's standing. I didn't love it. Nick, what'd you make of his new look?
I am accepting apologies, Nuggets fans. Nuggets fans, for 3 years, y'all have said, no, he's just a bad body guy. No, the weight helps him. Nick, you're body shaming him. You shouldn't say he sweats gravy. Things like that. Now, you're all excited that he's actually in shape. Now you're like, oh, look at how dangerous we can be when our best player isn't fat. So, I was right. You were wrong. You can apologize now. And I will say this. Unlike when Jenna body shames me, pro athletes are the one exception where you're allowed to talk about their physical appearance and physical conditioning because it's what they do for a living. It is unlike they are in their own special bucket. So I will not apologize. Nikola Jokic was out of shape. Yeah, exactly. And now he finally got in shape. It's a shame, Wildes, it took a global pandemic for him to do some crunches.
I'm not super optimistic about this one, Broussard. I like those Ben Simmons pictures we saw yesterday where Ben looks like he's going to be able to attack the rim and take some physical contact down there. He doesn't look like the same player at all.
No, that's a good point, Wildes. Look, he lost 20 to 25 pounds in February and played tremendously. But in March, he struggled. He only averaged 14 points a game in March. It was only 6 games, but they lost 3 of them. He uses his body a lot to box out and get rebounds. Yeah. We know he can't jump, so he's just boxing guys out. He posts guys up with his body. I'm not saying he totally can't play because, look, the inclination is to think he's going to be better. but it's going to help him in terms of speed, quickness. He's never going to be incredibly quick, so I don't know how much of an advantage that is for him. So I'm a bit skeptical as well. I really want to see how this works.
I am too.
Ooh, skepticism all around. All right, moving on now to my favorite person of all time who continues to not follow me on Twitter, Danny Ainge. Hasn't tweeted at me yet, but he did tweet out this video of Taco Fall hitting a 3. It's kind of the same. It's kind of the same thing. It felt good. Broussard, though, what'd you make of Ainge's taco tweet? I love the guy.
I make of this that Danny Ainge has a great personality and sense of humor. I mean, that looks great, but come on. I never want to see Taco take another 3 in my life, and I think Danny Ainge feels the same way.
I like it. We're the only show in the world that treats Danny Ainge like he's,
Yes,
Leonardo DiCaprio, like he never does any media. Like Danny Ainge is out there in the media, Jenna. Like he should be engaging on Twitter
Following me.
and coming on the show. Like this is a huge fan club of Danny Ainge. This is his show. He should watch it.
Understood.
Okay.
Should. Wish he would.
I'm not going to engage in Jenna's 30-year crush on a married great-grandfather. It's just, or grandfather of 17, however many grandkids he has.
Great-grandfather?
Listen, Broussard, I hate to end the show on this, but I'm disappointed in you. You, such as myself, are a student of NBA history. And Taco Fall, whose best-case scenario NBA comp is Manute Bol. What did Manute Bol turn into late in his career?
Oh, yeah.
Sniper. Long-range sniper, Manute Bol. Why can't Taco do it?
True.
Yeah, you know I'm right. It's a great way to end the week.
Sniper.
Checkmate on Broussard. Sniper. Easy money sniper, Manute Bol. The original. The original.
We gotta go. Guys, have a great weekend. Danny, it's at Jenna Wolfe. Just once, my friend. Try it once. Be safe, everyone.